Is this a sign of things to come for the Fords? Have they finally figured something out? And will they be able to compete with the Toyotas and the Chevys in the playoffs?
Maybe. The issue, I still think the Fords are the third manufacturer. I just think that they are closer to Chevy than they were before. I still think Toyota's the best. I think they have the most speed, most weeks, and the most consistent speed throughout all their cars. If you show up to Atlanta, or not Atlanta, you show up to Texas, show up to Kansas, show up to these mile and a halves that are going to be in the playoffs. Homestead, they'll probably be strong. I think the Toyotas and the Chevys will probably have Ford's number. But, super speedways, short tracks, road courses, I think Ford is just as good there. So I think Ford's still a little bit behind when it comes to the mile and a half, 2 mile big track stuff. That's why I don't think a Ford's going to win. I know they won 8 in a row at Michigan, but Kevin Harvick kind of lucked into it last year. I don't think they're going to be super fast this weekend. I think they'll be closer than they were. Where were they? Kansas or Vegas or whatever, when Toyota fucking dominated, but then a Chevy won. Was that
Nashville?
Vegas?
The last mile and a half they did?
The one that
Ross won?
All the Toyotas wrecked, pretty much. Bubba wrecked. Denny wrecked.
This year?
Yeah, they all qualified up near the front, and they all wrecked, pretty much. I think it was Kansas.
Well, Denny won the race.
Whatever.
I don't know what track you're talking about.
Yeah, Kansas or Vegas, or I think it was Kansas, but yeah, you're right. Denny did win the race, but I think it was Kansas.
Well, Christopher wrecked. Yeah, Christopher wrecked.
Christopher and Bubba, and
I don't know if Bubba wrecked.
I think
maybe he did.
Tyler Reddick had an issue, but anyway, I think Toyota's probably still the number one group. I think Chevy's number 2, but I think Ford is nipping on the heels of Chevy when it comes to most tracks under a mile and a half. So I don't think they're going to have any issue competing in the playoffs. It's just, getting to Phoenix. If you can get one to Phoenix, I think they have a good shot of winning championship again. If you can get Joey or Blaney was strong there last year. Hell, you get Brad or fucking Briscoe. Busher. They can somehow sneak their way into the top 4. They have a good enough chance. The way they ran at Richmond, they have a good enough chance to win that race just as anybody does. But it's just getting there is going to be the issue for most of the Fords.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you're saying. I think Ford is still third, but they are on Chevy's heels right now. And you look at Chevy, William Byron won at Atlanta, but rain got lucky with the rain and the weather. They were not the best manufacturer that night. Brad Keselowski or Chris Buescher or Joey Logano or Blaney should have won that race. Pocono last week, yeah, Kyle was fast, but he had to take a 2-tire strategy, get up front, and he was fast. Don't get me wrong, he was fast, and you know what happened with him and Denny, and Bowman was fast, so he spun out late. But Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, Trackhouse has been non-existent since really Ross won at Nashville last month. They've been a non-factor really everywhere. Chevy has really not had race-winning speed the past month and a half, 2 months. You take out Ross Chastain at Nashville and Kyle Larson at Pocono. They really haven't had any race-winning speed, while Toyotas and Fords have kind of dominated the front. Whether that's with RFK and Penske or with Joe Gibbs Racing or 2311. So Ford is definitely right on Chevy's heels, I think. Now, I think Chevy is still a little bit ahead of them just because they have more raw speed at, like you said, the mile and a half or the intermediate tracks. I think Michigan will be a very a telling test, or whatever you want to say. Like, it'll be a test to see who's really the best who's the better manufacturer between Chevy and Ford, because that is an intermediate to 2 mile tracks, big track. That's never been a track that Chevy's really been all that good at. Ford's been great there, and if Ford goes out there and whoops Chevy's ass, they're battling with Toyotas, and Chevys are 8th to 15th. There's their best cars, kind of like it was today at Richmond. Tom, Ford is. I think you could say Ford has overtaken Chevy, but how much speed Chevy has shown earlier on in the year, it's like you were so fast earlier on in the year. It's now like you see the Chevy struggle now. It's like, damn, you showed all that speed, and so when you not are showing that much speed in the summertime, it makes people cause for concern. And that's what Chevy's done. They were so fast earlier on in the year with Ross, with Kyle Larson, with Kyle Busch, with William Byron. They were all winning races, running up front every week. You had to go through those guys if you were going to win the race. And the past couple months, it has been nothing but the opposite of that. So Chevy has got some work to do. I think Ford has definitely caught them and caught up to them. They're right at their front doorstep. I think Toyotas are clearly the class still. They show up every week. You see them in practice and qualifying. There's usually one or two Toyotas in the top 5, top 3. That's been that for a couple months now. And it's all different kinds of tracks too. It's road courses, it's short tracks, it's intermediates, it's everywhere. So Toyota's definitely got a leg up on the field. But I think the field is a lot more closer than it really has ever been with the manufacturers right now. You expect Toyota to run up front and compete for wins, but it's not a guarantee that they're going to win. Ford and Chevy at any track at any time can win, and we couldn't say that last year. When we went last year to a Charlotte or a Kansas, Chevy or Toyota was pretty much who was going to. You could mainly probably a Chevy. Road courses last year, it was going to be probably a Ford or a Chevy. Toyota's really sucked on road courses. This year it is all over the place. You don't know. It's kind of like old NASCAR. It's not in a way that, hey, bring whatever you can bring to the track, race it. We'll see where it goes. But it's kind of what it is now. It's like everybody is pretty good everywhere. I still think Ford needs some work to do on the intermediates, but they've caught up. And so now each week, any manufacturer can compete for wins. It's not a shock to see a Ford up in the top 5 at Charlotte now. It's not a shock to see a Toyota winning at a road course now, or Martin Truex Jr. in Sonoma, because they done figured it out. It's not a shock for a Chevy to go up there and win at a short track. Now that's probably where the Chevys are the most weakest at.
William Byron won Martinsville. Kyle Larson won Martinsville.
Yeah, and he won
Phoenix.
Richmond too.
And Phoenix.
Yeah, so, but this summer stretch, you've really seen the Chevy struggle. But I still think Ford is third, but they are right on Chevy's heels, and I think Toyota is first.